Welcome to Your Case, Your Justice, Personal Injury with Empathy with Lowell Steiger.
Welcome to Your Case, Your Justice, Personal Injury with Empathy with Lowell Steiger. Lowell is a dedicated Southern California attorney who has been fighting for injured clients since 1998. With a genuine passion for advocacy, he works tirelessly to secure justice and compensation for those in need. I'm Heidi Mack, and today we're talking about pain or symptoms that show up days or weeks after an accident. This episode covers that, the means legally, and whether a claim is still valid. This is episode Delayed Pain After an Accident. Do I Still Have a Case? And welcome back, Lowell. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Heidi. It's nice to see you again.
Always, always. Well, thank you for giving us your information. Let's start it out. How common is it for an injury symptoms to appear days or weeks after an accident?
It's very common, especially with things like soft tissue injuries, like sprains, strains, things like that, concussions, spinal issues. And, well, yeah, to answer your question, it's very common. Almost every.
Yeah, no, you were already going into the types of injuries. Yeah, what types of injuries tend to have a delayed onset symptom?
Yeah, things like hip whiplash, herniated discs, internal bleeding, traumatic brain injury. A lot of these things can show up later. And one of the things there's another one that always strikes me, and that is shoulder injuries. Like, I've had so many cases where a client has a torn rotator cuff, but they don't know they have a shoulder injury until they go to reach something one day, and they can't. Their arm just won't go there, and that is always a red flag to me. And I'm not a doctor, but I've said, you need to get to a doctor like right away, and it's almost always the same thing. There's a tear in the rotator cuff. That's something that could show up like a month later. Who knows when? It's
so funny you did that. I'm like, oh my gosh, can I reach? I'm like about to do it too. I was like, can I reach? Oh gosh.
Can you? Okay.
I wasn't in an accident, but you did, that kind of freaked me out just now a little bit.
Sorry. And I don't want to freak anybody out that's watching this. I'm just giving an example.
No, of course. No, that's something it's things that people don't think about. And that's why we're here today. So,
let me just say one last thing. And then also with traumatic brain injuries, sometimes, like from a concussion, it could be a mild traumatic brain injury or not mild, but symptoms don't necessarily show up instantly. A few days later, you might start having blurred vision or a little bit of confusion or strange memory loss that you didn't have in the past, all kinds of cognitive issues. And those are things to pay attention to because, again, it's not like you don't feel your brain hitting your skull, right? But you might have the injury.
So then does a delay in seeking medical care automatically hurt a personal injury claim?
Not automatically. Depends on how long the delay is. If it's 2 years, that's going to be an issue. But, if it's a month or 6 weeks or 2 months, it all depends on the injury and the context in which, you discover that you have this injury. So definitely not automatic. Definitely not.
So then how can attorneys connect a delayed, say, an injured back to the original accident?
Yeah. The way you do it is through medical records, through expert opinions, meaning doctors typically, or sometimes also an accident reconstructionist or a biomechanical engineer that can say this type of impact and the impact that this person had in their car can cause this type of an injury, whatever that injury is. If you have consistent symptoms, if there's a clear treatment timeline, then those are ways for us to be able to connect the dots.
Along with that, what forms of documentation then can help validate a claim with late appearing symptoms?
Doctor's notes, follow-up visits, pain journals. I always ask my clients to keep a journal, even if it's very brief, of their pain journey, so to speak. Imaging studies like MRIs, CT scans, X-rays, all of those things help to validate a claim. Other documentation, which might sound a little odd, but and when you don't think of it as documentation necessarily, would be like a video, say at a family gathering where somebody's taking a video, not even thinking about it, and you're sitting there not knowing you're being videotaped, and you're wincing in pain as you're moving around, or you're picking up your child or your grandchild or your niece or nephew or something like that. Those things are, forms of evidence as well.
So, why is it important for accident victims to report new or worsening symptoms to their doctors promptly?
Yeah, the sooner the better, of course, because that creates a medical record that will tie your symptoms to the accident, and that's vital to your case. And a lot of times people will call me, right after an accident, like that same day or that same hour or next day, and they haven't gotten treatment yet. And I'll tell them, when you go to the ER or the urgent care, or you talk to your doctor, make sure that you tell them about the accident and what happened, so that there's an immediate record, tying your pain to the accident itself.
Then
sorry. Let me follow up. But even if it's a month later, and it's the first time you're going, make sure you tell the doctor or the historian what about the accident that you were in a month ago or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was.
So then, how do insurance companies typically respond to claims involving delayed pain?
Oh, they're always skeptical, and they always argue the injury was caused by something else that must have happened in between the accident and when you started complaining about the pain. Or they'll say, how serious could it have been? You didn't go to the doctor for 3 weeks. And, a lot of times people, and I'm just saying my response to that is, one of the things I tell my clients, don't think that you woke up a week later with pain in your neck because you slept funny. You may have slept funny, but if you weren't having it for your whole life before this accident, and suddenly you're having it, a few days or a week later, it's probably from the accident. It's probably not because you slept wrong.
So, what are the deadlines apply in California when filing a personal injury claim, even when symptoms appear later?
Okay. For personal injury claims, you have 2 years from the date of the accident to file a lawsuit. You can make a claim anytime during those 2 years, and the claim is going to be alive for those 2 years or until you settle it. But at the 2-year mark, if you have not filed a lawsuit, your claim is dead. You must, if you haven't settled it in 2 years, you must file it. You don't have an extra day. You've got 2 years. If there's a governmental entity involved, you have 6 months from the date of the accident to make your initial claim. And then there's other deadlines that triggers that really messes around with the 2-year thing, or the 2-year statute of limitations. So you really, really, really always need to talk to a lawyer to find out, what your time frames are, depending on who's involved in the accident.
So, to sum it up, then, what practical advice should accident victims follow if they begin experiencing pain after some time has passed?
See a doctor immediately, document everything, talk to a lawyer before speaking with the insurance company. That should go without saying. And that's not just a lawyer. I'm not being self-serving here. That's for your benefit, because the claims adjuster. This has nothing to do with this question, but the claims adjusters. There's different levels of claims adjusters, and with the insurance companies. And if you're not represented by a lawyer, you get one level of claims adjuster. If you're represented by a lawyer, you get somebody who's usually much more experienced and understands the injuries and the case a lot better than a neophyte, so to speak.
Well, thank you so much, Lo, for all this information. And thanks for listening to Your Case, Your Justice. Injuries don't always follow a perfect timeline, and that doesn't make them any less real. If someone is experiencing pain after an accident, even weeks later, they still have rights and options. For help understanding what's possible, visit steigerlaw.com. That is STEIGERLAW.com to connect with Lowell, and to be sure to subscribe, review, and share the podcast with others who may need guidance after an injury. Thank you again, Lowell. It's been great.
Thank you, Heidi. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.